The MVP player is in a 1-0 lead in the best of 3. He has to win one more map to go to the Premier League. Starting to the top left in red, we have
MVP Dream.
Oh, made his dreams a reality in game 1. Getting that mech composition up, doing a lot of damage with his drops. You can see his breathing there, he's a little bit nervous.
Yeah. To the bottom right, we have his opponents in the blue for SKT1.
SK Telecom T1 Fantasy.
We don't talk about this all too often, but I want to remind everybody that if you do live in Seoul, or you're planning on traveling to Seoul, we have English commentary for the Challenger League and the Premier League here at the GOM studio. So if you want to come down, listen to English audio, it's broadcast throughout the studio, so come by.
And in the game itself, we have now the same builds except for the gas. It looks a little bit more like, okay, there's the gas for Fantasy, just a tiny little bit later than for his opponent. Could see Reaper opening, or just both of them trying to be a bit aggressive, but not going straight into the gas first. So at this point, this is going to be one of those matches where there's a lot of pressure on Fantasy. He knows that if he loses this map, it's all over for him. Well, not quite. He still has a chance to go through the up and downs, but the direct spot into the Premier League, that is what he's not going to get anymore.
Up and downs is so hard to win. So, you know, if you get that chance, it's just kind of like, well, yeah, I have a chance, but it's really annoying. It's kind of a pain to go through that, and I might lose. So there's a high chance of losing, in fact.
Reaper opening for Dream. Fantasy decides to go into the Marine right at the beginning instead. Is able to block that SCV out, so he can just go for the tech in his own main base now if he wants to. Is close to getting the 100 gas that he needs for his factory.
Yeah, very soon here.
And the Reaper of Dream should at least be able to spot that.
Yeah, it's a really good information getting build. The better way to say that is scouting. But for some reason that word eluded me for just a moment. Dream is going to maybe be able to damage some SCVs for later on harassment. He's also getting a reactor at home during this. I don't know, I think Dream's going to go for mech again. What do you think?
I could actually see that happening for him. That's definitely true. I mean, right now we have him just with a few scouting information there, but he wants to jump into the main base. The problem is that Fantasy is, of course, already expecting that to happen. And Dream is going into his command center now, so he's playing this a little bit more economically than his opponent. The Reaper actually not doing too much, just trying to take down the SCV. I certainly expected it to move into the base itself. Trying a different angle now, waiting for the combat drugs to kick in and grant those extra hit points. But with 4 Marines now in the main base, I don't really think that Dream will be able to jump up that cliff and get the information that he wants.
Yeah, I mean, for him, he basically already knows, because he saw the way the barracks is, that this is going to be a factory opening, and he hasn't seen any Reapers. But the one thing he doesn't know, though, is that there's double gas, and that's something that he would really like to know, because that's Banshees, and Banshees are going to be coming up, it looks like, here.
Yeah, he's going to be up against them once more, and we will also see the cloak upgrade, as it seems. On the other hand, Dream, of course, with a faster command center, if he holds well against Fantasy's aggression, then he will take the lead here in overall supply, and especially in economy. And he has also his own his own starport being built. So with the starport, he can get that the Viking out, and that would already help him quite a lot.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, Cloak, Widowmine, and immediately Banshee.
With the position on the Reaper here, he might also see the Banshee move out, which would be great for him. The build that Dream is doing is basically the safest possible build that you can ever do in Terran vs. Terran in Heart of the Swarm, where you get this combination of the Reaper, he verifies even that there's a Banshee here. He takes a risk when he jumps in, but he sees it. And he's also got a CC up, he has the eBay going down now. He's playing this extremely safe, and Fantasy cannot be happy that his tech has now been scouted.
Yeah, everything is known to Dream, and he reacts with the Viking as expected, with the engineering bay. He has all the cards in his hands now. And of course, Fantasy is not going to delay his own command center by too long. He's already getting it. Wouldn't be surprised to see him drop another one fairly soon. That's what he did in one of the previous games. But it's all about how much damage is this Banshee really going to do.
Yeah. And Dream is even saving scans right now. He's very careful about this. This Widowmine going to do a lot for Fantasy on the other hand, as we've seen before. Going to trade against some Marines.
There are not too many Marines with good micro, and that's what he did in game number 1. He could really limit the Marine numbers now, and that's exactly what he does. Just look at that. He's taking down most of them.
All of them, in fact, will die here, and any of the ones that come out of the production facility are camped, and wow, the Banshee already down to half the points. This is a terrible spot for Fantasy, and he saved so many scans from earlier, so he's able to scan and kill it. Wouldn't mind. The Banshee that comes out now will be able to push these Hellions back, but Fantasy is still stuck on one base. He's command center. He starts a third command center again. We saw this last game, but it didn't work out for him in the end.
And here we go. The Viking is now moving in double Viking, actually. He could just go and drop another scan if he wants
He's
to.
going to wait because he knows the turret.
That is a little bit weird that he did that. But now, yep, drops the scan and bye-bye Banshee. We have the Raven being built, taking no risks whatsoever. He knows that there are additional Banshees on the map.
And he is going for mechs, so the Raven later on will be very useful against Marauders and also any Vikings he faces.
And the additional third CC for Fantasy, as already expected earlier, has been started. So he's going into Siege Tanks and additional Banshees now. But with Raven and double Viking, that should be something that Dream is going to shut down very, very early.
Yeah.
But so far, like, Dream is looking great here. He has a good economy. He's already mining from 2 mineral lines. That's something that Fantasy, of course, attempts to do now too. But he's a little bit delayed with this. And the Banshee in the main base should get a couple of kills, but not too many.
Yeah, maybe like 5 here, 2 and 3, 4 actually in total, my mistake. And does get the 5th one, and the Raven now over here.
Yeah, 6 in total, a little bit more than I thought I would get. Here comes the Raven. Where are those Vikings? They are apparently a little bit lazy. One hovering at the third base that he's getting now.
Yeah, this game feels kind of like almost a mirror of what we saw last game with the timings of the third bases. Fantasy gets the faster third command center, but Dream gets the command center on the low ground.
A smart split here on the Vikings. One Viking is now trying to take care of the Banshee to the right side, but it's already a little bit too late. The Banshee is there with a cloak and could have taken out the SCV that's currently building the missile turret. I don't think he really saw that.
Yeah. In fact, that SCV is building a missile turret should start building that command center again very soon. He's trying to follow this Banshee. He does lose it for a second, but there's the Raven.
Yeah, but we have the first Banshee still active in the main base, taking down another SCV. You know, I actually really like how Fantasy does this, given that it was scouted this early, killed 11 SCVs already. He's doing a pretty good job, even taking down now the few workers that are mining gas at the refinery.
Yeah. Oh, so much damage done here. And there's just not a whole lot of... You know, there's not a whole lot that Dream could do about what he's trying to power up. He's powering up his production facilities right now, so he doesn't have a lot of units. Fantasy takes a supply lead for this reason.
And that's 19 harvesters killed, and that's mainly because Dream skipped on missile turrets. He only built 2, 1 per mineral line. And there's a reason why a lot of Zerg players against such a build will go for a double Spore Crawler. Of course, those are also a little bit more inexpensive, but still, at this point, I feel Dream would have taken that trade any day, going for a double missile turret and then just lose a few as harvesters, because 19 killed with a scouted Banshee play, that was really well done by the SKT1 time.
And right now, the worker count is way in Fantasy's favor. 16 harvesters up on his opponent, 52-37. Blue Flame on the way for Dream. I still think Dream is in an okay position, but Fantasy definitely with a massive lead here, much more than what we saw in game number 1. This Hellion drop, it wants to change things.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure if you really get too much done though. He's trying to go in from the side now, and he will be able to chrono boost soon, chrono boost to afterburn soon again. But there's now a missile turret in the main base. Shouldn't be able to shut that down. I don't think it will. But let's see how much damage he can do here.
Blue Flame is not ready, so this is not doing as much as he would like. He does stop 2 very important Fantasy depots.
Oh, nice
oh my
movement
God,
here. Oh! What was that? Oh god, Fantasy looked so good.
Oh no,
for him.
even again!
And suddenly he lines it up. He lines everything up. He lost everything here. He just lost 22 harvesters in this single attack.
And he's going to lose even more here. There is a siege tank, but more harvesters can be targeted. Oh, wow.
That was 22 SCVs killed in this one single attack. Fantasy apparently thought he was too far ahead in the game and was very merciful here. Just told Dream, okay, you know what, let's trade a couple of SCVs and let's make this even again, make it a little bit more interesting.
There's nothing else to say, but that was just a very amateur mistake, the way he pulled those SCVs. And, you know, sometimes in high-stakes situations, you make mistakes like that. He's also going to lose a lot of hit points on these tanks, and that tank actually moved for some reason while it was in tank mode. That was really weird. Did you see that?
Was pushed away by the Hellbats.
Hellbats are strong.
And again, the attempt to take down a few of the harvesters here. 23 workers killed an additional SCV, and also took out a mule.
He was 13 harvesters up. Now he's 5 harvesters down. And Dream just continuing to mine from 3 bases, building that mech composition, making 4 Hellbats at a time. He's going to kill this tank and a lot of SCVs on this gas.
Yeah, he can always just lift those 2 Hellbats again. But it's a little bit too late. The Medivac gets targeted and is eliminated.
Fantasy stays ahead in supply because Dream is throwing his Hellbats away, but he's throwing them away for trades, and
Double
it makes
drop.
his economy better.
Double drop to the top left.
Yep, this could do a lot of damage. There are turrets in place, but with the boosters and Heart of the Swarm, you just don't care about turrets.
Yeah, but he sees it, and here we go. Turrets are immediately being attacked, but Hellbat drops once again against the Bio. Those two Medivacs will never get out there. And that is actually Fantasy lost a lot. He's trying to target down the Raven, that would have kind of made it worth it. But as it is, he lost a lot of his obvious units, and he didn't really trade off.
Yeah, not the best trade for him at all. Not even targeting SCVs here at the last second.
Dream suddenly gets a supply lead in the game.
Yeah, just for a second, but he takes it again here and starts +2. His +2 is lined up and slightly ahead even of Fantasy's +2 for Bio. So if you think about that, the upgrades are just really, really good here for Dream for his composition, which is already very strong.
And he's sending out another drop across the map. Or is that an SCV that we see to the right side? I think it's only a scout.
I think it's a drop. Yeah, it's a Hellbat drop.
Okay. So another Hellbat drop already on the way. And, well, so far, not scouted by Fantasy. We have now also Sensor Towers coming up, and they will help quite a bit to find out where the drop army or the bio army of Fantasy is going to be used. Here comes the Afterburner again into the mineral line. There's a siege tank, but still Hellbat starting to do damage on hold position against the SCVs.
Yeah. A lot of damage here and a lot of lost mining time for Fantasy, who does still have that supply lead, but his army is split in two, and if Dream sees this...
Uh-oh.
He does not see it.
We have the lift now. He's trying to drop to the left side, and this is actually like a pretty big drop. 4 in total. If you can drop on top of the tanks, that would be really cool. But Dream has similar ideas.
Yeah, he does. And SCV is coming off the line here to try to tank a little bit of damage. He's actually going to fight and push this back. Point defense drone's going down. Fantasy looks like he might be in trouble here. His tanks are split too far apart from each other.
Yeah, and most of his tanks are already down. A couple of them were not even sieged up, and just look how many of them are already gone. He doesn't really have a good defense anymore. We have both of them still at exactly the same supply, but the 2-2 isn't done for Fantasy. SCV's once again coming off the mineral line. The siege tank doing its damage and really doing a lot here.
A lot of Hellbats coming out of these factories. He's trying to get rid of those production facilities. He's got a good defense at home. This is such a close game right now. It's hard to say who really has the lead, but Dream, he has the better composition, arguably, when it comes to camping production facilities, but the bioforces are so mobile here.
The bioforces are mobile, that is definitely true, but I feel that Dream has a massive lead in this game right now. He's getting 2 additional command centers already, and he has siege tanks sieged up at his third base, whereas the main of Fantasy is still very much exposed. There's not a lot of production going on for Fantasy.
Yeah. And Fantasy is about to be up against tanks that have +2. 2-2 this entire time. Fantasy was not complete. Production facilities need to be remade for Dream. He needs to make maybe a planetary here before he loses his engineering bay. I would like to see that a lot.
Fantasy has no mining anymore, and Dream still has 1 mining base. He needs production buildings. That's the only thing that Dream really needs. He also has a massive bank. He's at 1,400 minerals and has his 1,000 gas to go with it. So if he's able to get his production up again, Fantasy will be in a helpless spot.
I really want him to make planetaries. Now he starts them. If he gets the planetaries up, the Bioforce can't actually finish him off. And if they never finish him off, he'll eventually be able to get those production buildings up. 2 factories started as we speak.
Fantasy has more army supply right now, but here comes the drop on top of that last remaining siege tank, and Dream is moving in. Fantasy also doesn't have his entire army together. So at this point, the SCVs in the main base are going down. This is a bit of an elimination race, but we have even the planetary forms now being built, as you already said. So as soon as that's done, he can repair that and save this third.
Orbital is flying away from Fantasy. Both players dead even on supply, 51 to 51. 1 Marauder on the high ground being very annoying here. There's actually nothing he can do about that.
He flies another orbital now to the top right, and once that he has the orbital there, he can call down mules. The harvester count is 24 to 11 in favor of Dream, which also means that in regards to the army supply, he is still behind. He's at 24 against 40. He needs to get production buildings again.
He's making those production facilities that you speak of as we watch this, and he's going to lose that command center if he doesn't lift it. He does lift it, but he still could lose it to the top right. That command center taking fire here.
Yeah, the command center taking fire, and by now we have Fantasy mining at the bottom center position once again on the map here. Dream is now starting to produce Hellions. He still has 3 factories, and that's going to help him a lot. Also, double tank is being produced, so still a good position. He needs to repair his own tanks. He does it immediately, and he can always call down mules to the top right, as we said already earlier.
Fantasy is in a desperate situation right now. He's supply blocked critically as well. And not out of his poor macro, but out of, just his depots are destroyed, and he's losing even more of them as we speak. The situation for Fantasy is really, it's one where he has a mobile force, he has a command center mining, but he can never compete with what Dream has. Dream has 2 CCs, he has production already remade, he has a big army, and it's starting to get even stronger.
One of the few things that definitely helps Fantasy is that he has 8 medivacs against 2, so he can just heal his Bioforce a lot better and is a bit more mobile. If Dream would just move in a little bit further into the main base of his opponent, he would see those barracks and could just shut those down. And another orbital here at the top, once again highlighted by Legend, could be used for additional mules. We have those to the top right, but even now the starport coming. Oh, the choke point here, he needs to be careful.
There's so many medivacs here, but there's not a whole lot underneath them. He has 8 medivacs, 8 Marauders, 6 Marines.
Burn, barracks, burn. That's exactly what happens there. And now suddenly it's time for the Hellions to shine. They have Blue Flame, and they try to take charge here. And Fantasy is falling in behind in supply fast. He can't do anything about this space with a planetary and several siege tanks around. And he also has a lot of mining against him. And this has been discovered. It looks like Fantasy might be out of luck here.
Yeah, it looks like he's out of luck, Calder. I mean, these Bioforces will push the Hellions back, yes, but this is insignificant when compared to the production of 4 Hellbats at a time. He's losing a lot of tanks here, though, but he can trade. And he's gonna just continue to get the better supply here. I like the Banshee here. It's doing a lot of damage. He doesn't have any turrets.
Yeah, the Banshee is a really cute move. He's getting the Viking now, but up to this point he's gonna lose quite a lot. I would love him to use that command center that is floating at the center top of the map and just call down these mules or even use it for scans. But okay, now he found it. Now he realized that there was one command center missing and he's starting to utilize it a little bit better.
Yeah, these Hellbats are gonna potentially kill all the SCVs. A good pickup here.
Yeah, well done. But where is he going to go with them?
That's a good question. The Banshee is about to be taken out by that Viking that will spawn. He has a scan saved. There's no energy on this Banshee either. He's even a Thor on the way.
We have 4 CCs for Dream in the game, so even if he loses all of his SCVs, he can just use his mules. That's no problem whatsoever for him.
Oh, and Fantasy's going to lose his depot dump over at the bottom left where he was hiding those depots, which are all call-down supplied.
Also, the starport that we saw it being attacked by one of the tanks, so that shouldn't be an issue any longer either. And we have a Thor being built. Thor will put an end to most of the aggression with the Banshees.
Now, this is really, really a tough spot for Fantasy. Fantasy actually is known by his foreign fans to have... he coined the phrase GG timing, or it was coined because of him. And
we have 54 army supply against 39 in favor of Dream now. Dream just has the better army here as well. He's taking down those orbital commands, and once they are gone, there won't be any mining for Fantasy anymore. I don't think that with the forces that he has, he can even break through the base that we see to the left center side for Dream. That's just a planetary, too many tanks. Even if Dream wouldn't be able to mine at this point any longer, this base would not fall. Well, unless the Banshee takes it out.
Man, these Banshees are trying to...
How many kills does the Banshee have?
I will check for you. I bet a lot. No, actually only 7, but it was because the other Banshee that got most of the kills before was killed. But, I mean, Fantasy is killing so much here.
There's the Viking, and that shuts it down. But still, he's up against 4 CCs. Like, even if he loses all his SCVs, it doesn't matter.
And the Banshees would be much better served actually fighting this army. Really surprised we don't see Dream try to remake a Raven. If he just has one Raven and the Vikings with his army...
I think he still has a lot of the energy on the command centers, and that's why...
Fantasy is not even landed with his command centers. They're flying to the south. He's finally landing them again. He's running his buildings away. This is definitely the Fantasy that people coined Fantasy GG timing after.
Yeah, this is what we call Beratungsresistent in Germany. At this point, he's really just trying to make this happen somehow, but already the SCV's in position. I don't think he knows about that base to the top right, though.
Yeah,
to give him some credit here.
Because
I don't
he definitely would attack it if he knew. He's going to kill his Thor. He's really trying to make this work with his Bioforce.
I was rather thinking he would have probably quit the game. Yeah, those Marauders, they are, of course, like, at least be able to do something, but not against this army, and the medivacs are now being taken out.
There's too many Vikings by now.
Can do damage, yeah. The Vikings shut them down one by one. 17 supply, 15 left. GG!
Dream takes a 2-0 against big fan favorite Fantasy.
Yeah, advances to the Premier League now, so congratulations, MVP Dream. Job well done today.
Very young player, and this guy is on the up and up, I feel. He's just always had the potential to be a great player. And I think next season in the Premier League, he's going to do really, really well. Expect big things from this guy. Fantasy
was a bit of a disappointing series for him, of course. He expected to go back to the Premier League. And now we're waiting for our next best of 3 to happen. We have Lenog running to the booth.
Yeah, Lenog is up against Jongbi. These are 2 really, really big fan favorite players. One of them, you know, of course, making his big name for himself in Starcraft 1, was the last OSL winner in Brood War. And he switched over to StarCraft 2. Leonok, on the other hand, multi-time champion all over the world. He's got so many trophies. He's so young. He's been around since the very beginning of StarCraft 2.
Yep, Leonok versus Jungmi is going to be our last series of the day. Zerg versus Protoss after we just now had 2 Terran versus Terran. Joya, of course, still in the studio here after Gumiho earlier was able to take down Su. So guys, we are going into another short 5-minute break, and as soon as we are back, we will go into the last best of 3 of the day here at the WCS Challenger League. Stay tuned, and we'll be back in a few.